boys and girls. This is Mrs. Wingervasio, and today we're going to be covering Chapter 3, Lesson 3.5, Solving Two-Step Equations. Reference pages to this could be found in 3.5, pages 110 and 111, and it's in the Google Classroom. Let's go ahead and get started. In our first example, we're going to talk about solving a two-step equations with just whole numbers. So as you recall, in our previous lessons, we were solving one-step equations by adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. So now we're going to go ahead and do both adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So you want to ask yourself the same questions. What is it that you're trying to solve for? So we're trying to solve for x. How do you solve for x? You need to get it by itself by isolating the variable. What should you get rid of to get x by itself? That -3 and that 5. How do you get rid of that -3 and that 5? You need to do the inverse operation. Now, the next important question, which might be new to many of you, is how do I know which numbers to get rid of, the -3 or the 5? You always want to get rid of, I repeat, you always want to get rid of the number that's the furthest away from the expression, or I'm sorry, the variable. What's furthest away from the variable? I'm highlighting the 5 so you can see that 5 is further away from the variable than -3. That -3, it's attached to it, so since it's attached to it, it's too close. So we get rid of the number that's furthest away. So to get rid of it, we're going to do inverse operation. So opposite of +5 is -5. I do it to this side, I do it to the other side. So that's going to be 5 negative on both sides. This cancels because we don't need a +5 and -5 gives you a 0. We don't need that. So this is going to be -3x. We bring down, and then we have equals. Well, what's a 2 minus 5? 2 minus 5 is going to be a -3. Again, if you can't see what 2 minus 5 is, write it outside on the top. 2 minus 5. 2 minus 5 is -3. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is, again, this is going to be our first step. Our second step is going to be to get x by itself again. Again, it's not by itself, so we need to do the second step. So to get it by itself, we're going to do the opposite of times -3. So opposite of times -3 is going to be divide. Again, to get rid of a number, you do its inverse operation. So we're going to divide both sides by -3. Do it to this side, do it to the other side. X equals, well, a negative divided by negative is a positive, so I get a +1. Now, if you want to check to see if your answer is correct, I'm going to go ahead and highlight this answer for you. If you want to see if your answer is correct, then what you're going to do is you're going to plug it in. It says check your solution. So we're going to go ahead and check our solution by plugging in the value. So I have here the problem, -3x, and then it says here plus 5 equals 2. So then x was 1, we're going to plug in 1. And what's going to happen, oops, let me redo that again. What's going to happen is that this side should be 2 because this side was 2. So let me plug that over again. -3, x was 1, plus 5 equals 2. Okay, so 2 is on this side. And then this side should also be 2. Let's see if it's 2. -3 times 1 is -3 plus 5. Well, -3 plus 5 is 2. So the answer right here in blue was correct. So that is the correct solution. So you do the check solution, check method when you want to make sure that your answer is correct. So my answer is correct because I checked and it's correct. All right, let's go ahead and have you do your homework on your own. Go ahead and pause the video and solve problems 1, 2, and 3 on a separate sheet of paper. Write down your answers, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay, example 2. Now, in example 2, we're going to talk about fractions now. We talked about whole numbers for 2 steps. Now we're going to talk about fractions for 2 steps. So in this example, I have all fractions. Now I know it's not always the easiest and fun to do the fractions, but it's not too bad. Let's take a look. So again, what are we going to do? We're trying to solve for x, to get x by itself. So to get x by itself, we need to get rid of some terms. I see an 8 and I see a -1/2. What term do we have to get rid of first? Just like in what I mentioned in the last example, you always get rid of the term that's furthest away. This is furthest away from x than 8. 8 is attached to it. So don't get rid of the number that's attached. Get rid of the number or the term that's not attached. This side, don't worry about it because that's the other side of the equal sign. Okay, so to get rid of a term, you're going to do its inverse operation. I see a -1/2, opposite of -1/2, +1/2. I do it to this side, I do it to the other side. And then we're going to add it to both sides. Now on this side, I notice that we have a negative and a positive, so they cancel each other out. X over 8, bring it down. And then we have equals. And you're in luck today because in our denominators today, do you notice the denominators are the same. So since the denominators are the same, you only have to worry about the numerator. So I'm going to write the numerator. The numerator is the top number, negative 7 plus 1. And then I have what was underneath? 2. Okay, so I'm going to put down x over 8, copy my problem over, x over 8 equals, what's negative 7 plus 2? Negative 7 plus 2 was going to be negative 6. Then over 2. Okay, can I simplify this side? If I can, let's go ahead and simplify so make it easier. Always simplify your fractions if you can. And I notice that negative 6 divided by 2 is a negative 3. And then we have here x over 8. So now, are we done? Nope, because is x by itself? Nope. So to get x by itself, we're going to ask ourselves what's happening to the x. X is being divided. Opposite divide is multiply. So I multiply this side by 8, multiply the other side by 8. This cancels out. Why? Because if you have a 1 underneath right here, invisible 1, 8 times x is 8x. 1 times 8 is 8. What's 8 divided by 8? 1. Do we need that 1 in front of the x? No. So we're going to bring this down. Equals, what's negative 3 times 8? Negative 24. So our answer is negative 24. Let me go ahead and highlight that for us. Our answer is negative 24, but to check to see if it's correct, we're going to use the check method. So let's go ahead and look at the check method. So our check method says to plug in our solution. So we have here x over 8 minus 1/2 equals negative 7 over 2. Okay, anytime you see an x, we're going to plug in the value. So it says x was negative 24, so I'm going to plug that in. Over 8 minus 1/2. And it says we should get the answer of negative 7 over 2. So let me erase that. Negative 7 over 2. Let's see if we get that. All right, let's see. Denominators are not the same, so I have to make them the same. So I'm going to set them so they have this common denominator of 8. All right, so 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 1. 1 times negative 24 is negative 24. And then we have minus here. 2 times 1 is 8. I'm going to say 2 times 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, now what we have right here is our numerator that's we can solve. So what is negative 24 minus 4? Negative 24 signs are the same. This is a negative, this is a negative. So I'm going to add it. So that's negative 28 over 8. Keep the same denominator. Now, if I were to reduce this, what can you reduce both of these terms by? We could say both of these can be reduced by 2, so let's divide it by 2. What is 28? You're going to say what's 28 divided by 2, so you can say 28 divided by 2 is 14. And then 8 divided by 2 is going to be 4. Can you still reduce it? Yes. I'm going to reduce it by 2 again. What's 14 divided by 2? That's 7. What's 4 divided by 2? That's 2. So our answer here, oops, and I forgot that was a negative right here. So I need to have a negative right here. So our answer is negative 7 over 2, which is the same as this. So did our solution match up? Yes. So this would be the correct answer. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and have you go to the next slide. And the next slide, I would like you to try number 4, 5, and 6 on your own. Continue on with the same paper for homework. Pause the video and solve the problems. Okay, last example. In our last example we have here, we're solving equations, but in this time we have to combine the like terms before we can do any two steps. So we have to combine like terms first before doing anything, before solving. So I noticed that there's a 3y minus 8y. What's a 3y minus 8y? Can you combine that? Yep. 3 minus 8 is going to be negative 5, so we have negative 5y equals 25. Now that I combine the like terms, now I can go ahead and solve. So this would be our first step. This would be our second step. Second step, get y by itself. How do I get y by itself? Divide both sides by negative 5. If I divide this side, I do it to the other side. This cancels. Y equals, what's a positive divided by negative? Negative. What's 25 divided by 5? 5. So our answer is negative 5. Now, again, to check to see if your answer is correct and you're doing it correct, write down the problem again. 3y. Oops, I don't like that. Let me redo that. So we have 3y. Go ahead and put 3y. We're just copying down the problem. 3y minus 8y equals 25. What was our y? Our y was negative 5, so 3 times right there, negative 5 minus 8 times negative 5. And what answer should we have on this side of the equal sign? 25. Why? Because the top was 25. Okay, so let's see if it's 25. We have here 3 times negative 15, or negative 5 is negative 15 minus, right there is minus. 8 times negative 5, that's a minus right there. 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. Okay, so there we go. And I notice that this is a subtraction, so I'm going to do keep, flip, change. The signs are same or different? Signs are different, so I'm going to subtract. 40 from 15 is going to be 25. And is it a positive or negative? It's going to be a positive because the bigger number tells you the sign. So 25 matches with 25, and that will be your solution. So our answer to this problem is going to be y equals 5. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and have you do the rest of the on your own, number 7, 8, and 9 on the same piece of paper. Pause the video, solve the problems, and write down your answer. Okay, exit ticket. To make sure that you are understanding today's lesson, I would like you to answer the following 3 questions. Please explain if it asks you to explain that I have here for the exit ticket, okay? And then we will go ahead and discuss these homework questions tomorrow and answer any questions that you have. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.